going on? It's Papa Steve from We Want Daddy, and we're covering the authoritarian parenting style. This is the third parenting style out of the four that we're going to be covering. Today we got a daytime record. See me with a little bit more energy, a little bit more excitement. Yeah. Without further ado, let's get into it. So the authoritarian parenting style, let's get the description of it the word is favoring complete obedience or subjection to authority as opposed to individual freedom. That was the first description. So the third description, the second was talking about government control, all that kind of stuff, but we're talking about parenting. So the third, exercising complete or almost complete control over the will of another or of others. Now, straight off the bat, we look at this with like, you want complete control out of your kids? Like, where's the room for them to be kids, right? So there's some things where you just have to just let go. Characteristics of the parenting style of authoritarian parents are demanding. Authoritarian parents have strict rules and very high standards. Many of these rules are in place to exert control over the child's behavior or activities, and children are expected to follow those rules from a young age. The problem with that is children are so unexpectedly active. And what I mean by that is the fact that you literally can't predict their actions, their thoughts, or nothing like that, because they're always going to the next thing. They're always thinking about what's coming next, what they want to do next, what snack they want to eat. Is all in one go. They're going like 2 million miles a second. But for you to sit up here and think that you can control them down to their very thought, that's not right. Because as parents, we're teachers. We teach them in the way that they should go, not bombard them with so much of your expectation that they're scared to live. We're not controllers. We're not God. We can't control every part of our child's life. We can't make them seem like that every single action that they're doing that is outside of our thinking, our understanding, our expectation for them is a sin. It's not. The things that you're supposed to be guarding and governing them from is harmful things, Just because they have a different thought process opposed to you doesn't mean that it's life-threatening. At least not all the time. Number 2, authoritarian parents are cold and non-nurturing. Authoritarian parents seldom show warmth towards their children. These parents are often quite cold, unkind, and harsh. When they are upset with their children, authoritarian parents are also more likely to yell or berate. They use the term tough love to justify their unresponsiveness and mean attitudes towards their children. There's no excuse for being mean to your child. Like outright mean. There's some things where you have to let them figure it out themselves. And after being shown the way to do it, a child should be given room to figure it out themselves. This is how they grow and develop themselves. But you have to show them. You got to teach them. How are they going to love somebody if you're not showing them how to love? This is where you get the thought process of basically feeling as my parents never gave me true love, unconditional love. So I'm going to go find out what that is. I got to figure it out how I want to be loved opposed to what I was growing up showing. Says these parents are often quite cold, unkind, and harsh. What's the need for that? I walk through Walmart and I hear parents, mothers, fathers talk to their children in a disrespectful manner, cussing them out, yelling at them, fussing at them because they pick stuff up. When truthfully, no, that's not how you talk to a child. Really, you talking like a child. You're acting on the same level as your child when you come at them like that. Because that develops a sense of, well, me and my parents were equals. They act like I act. I run around screaming, yelling, fussing. They run around cussing, yelling, and fussing as well. So when the kid develops these same qualities that you are putting out, what do you expect? They're just doing what they're taught. They're more likely to become non-nurturing with their children because you're not showing them how to be nurturing. There's no patience. Like the other series that we're covering within Galatians 5, verse 22 through 26, the fruits of the Spirit. Well, if you don't hold on to the fruits of the Spirit, or you not embodying the fruits of the Spirit, well, how do your children know how to have peace, have love, how to have kindness, meekness? They don't. So they just do what they're taught, which is fits of rage, walking a blasphemous nature. They chase lust. They covet things. These are the things that come natural to the human being. These are the things that come natural to our nature because we've all sinned and fallen short. God has to teach us what it means to be loving, kind, just, holy. So you being a parent, this is also your role to teach the children how to be loving, kind, just, and holy. Because if you're walking with God, then you should act likewise. But there's no reason for you to yell at your child. There's no reason to berate your child, to bombard them with such a tone where they're even scared to open up to you. They're even scared to come to you with a problem that they have because every single time they talk to you, well, I'm being thrown by the wayside. I'm not as important as my parents talk me up to be in front of their friends. It's unattractive. Like these types of parenting styles, like how they're put into practice, I can understand why people don't want to have children, to a degree. Because if you're always acting like, well, your child is not a blessing, your child is just another piece of baggage. Well, what do I need that piece of baggage for? Children should be loved always. Children should be treated in a manner as a human being, because they are human beings. They're not animals. They're not pets that you feed and water and then put them in that room. Their personalities have to be cultivated. They have to be shown what it means to be good and do good. 3, authoritarian parents are controlling parents. Authoritarian parents believe that they are the authority figures and that their children should follow orders and show obedience to authority blindly without any question. On this, I was raised where you do what I say, there should be no back talk. What parents don't understand, that back talk usually is a legit question. It depends on your child's understanding level. That's when kids getting like 5, 6, 7 years old, they're starting to ask more questions. They're starting to ask, well, why should we do this? Well, why should I do that? Well, what's the outcome of this? There's a degree of do what I told you because I said so, because I've given you a command. That's one. Two, there's a difference between the child asking the question, why should I do this, opposed to threatening your authority. But the authoritarian parent feels that if a child asks a question at any point in time on the spectrum, that their authority is being threatened, which is not so, because the child is trying to groom how they want to think. This is a type of self-regulation. The child is basically figuring themselves out. They know their likes and dislikes, but they're trying to figure out how to convey that thing. It's not to say that they're not going to follow through on the action that you have given. They just need to know, well, how do you thoroughly want this done? Can you explain to me how is it that you understand this, but I don't understand this? A lot of those are the questions that children are trying to figure out. But it comes off to us as, well, you're just not trying to do what I say. And it's just not totally so. There are certain kids that are submissive in that way, that's in their nature, that they'll do whatever their parents say. And that's fine, as long as the parent is not abusing their nature. But there are also children like my oldest daughter who wants to know why. But if it's a thing that is already understood, you already know why, well, I need you to go ahead and please do what I told you. Stay on task. Or do the task that I've given you first, then come back with your question. Because obedience matters more than the fact of understanding what you're doing first. Child doesn't automatically come in this world knowing what to do. Parents are the reflection of God. God expects obedience. He says obedience is better than sacrifice. A lot of times you're not going to know what God is lining you up to do, but it's best to be obedient than to defy. That's the same for a child. It's best for them to be obedient than to defy. Number 4, authoritarian parents only allow one way of communication. Authoritarian parents rarely involve children in any decision making. They use reasons such as, because I said so, when they demand children to simply do as they're told. They do not seek or allow feedback from their children. Any attempt to reason with parents' decision is talking back and challenging the parents' authority. This is kind of like the previous trait, how I explained it. So I'll try to take a different approach at this one. The feedback, children learn from feedback. Children learn from the communication of me asking a question, you answering that question, because you are the only knowledgeable and credible source that I have. So I need to ask this question so you can give me the correct answer. Not the answer that you feel is right, but the correct answer. So I can know that this is the right thing and have a surety in what I'm doing is the right thing. A lot of times that's when the children are asking questions. My eldest son, he's gotten to the point where he's going to go do what I'm telling him, but he is in the process of going to go do it. He's asking the question, well, what are we doing? Son, I just need you to go ahead and do it and then come back. Just do what I told you and come back. So it's always good to allow that feedback for a child, because they don't know entirely that they're testing authority. To them, it's not testing authority. To them, I'm asking a genuine question. I just need an answer. This is what we have to have patience with them, because for us to wholeheartedly cultivate a relationship with our children, to develop a long-lasting and loving relationship with our children, they need to be able to communicate. How are they going to ask for help if you aren't communicating? It's good to converse with your children as they get older, because that helps them understand. It helps them be able to talk more with people later in life. It helps them understand their true thought. It helps them to cultivate that thought in the middle of conversation, where they can tell a person, well, I don't totally feel like this is what it means. I don't totally feel that your actions are okay. They shouldn't be hiding behind their thoughts, behind their words, and just harboring it. You are the one that helps bring these out and develop these relationships so they can develop relationships in the future. But it takes patience.